Well, I think more than any other thing, you have to just love what you do.
You've got to love what you do. And I've seen so many instances where people with great talent went into things that they didn't love, and they failed. I would always say to people, and I'd see people, and I'd say, you got to love what you do. Because, you know, if you love what you do, you work harder. But it's not work.
Easier. If you can educate your children, if you can not have to worry about being able to afford a doctor when somebody's not feeling well in the family, it certainly makes life a lot easier. And I don't use the word happy, I use the word content. I think you're more content. And money ultimately beyond a certain point is just a scorecard. But you sort of love it. I mean, it's what we do.
It's a game, isn't it?
It is a game. It's a game. Ultimately, it's a game. You play the game. You want to play the game well. You don't like to lose.
Keep score.
It's a scorecard. And beyond loving it, you have to work hard. And this is a sad word. This is a word that I hate to talk to people about, because some people are lucky and some people aren't. And you can sit in this room and say, you know, he's right or he's wrong. But you have a word called luck. Some people are lucky. You know, Gary Player, the great golfer, he was a little guy, very little, but he worked really hard. And he had a great statement, but he'd go, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And he wins the US Open. You have all these big, handsome guys, these big, giant guys, and they're hitting the ball a mile. And you have Gary Player. And Gary Player would win the Open. He'd win the Masters. He'd win this. He'd win that. And he came off the green. Now, I know I've heard the statement before, but I heard it from him in a meaningful way. They said, what do you think, Gary? What is it? He said, all I know is I've been working very hard. And the harder I work, the luckier I get. I thought it was an amazing statement. You really have to just go at and just never quit, never give up. I've seen so many people over the years, smart people, very good people, they quit, they give up.
Never, ever quit. Never, ever give up, because that's the other thing. I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed because they couldn't go that extra mile. They couldn't do it. So you get something, you never, ever quit, never, ever give up.
For me, failure is never an option. If you have to go through the wall, you go through it. If you can't go through it, you go under it, around it, over it. There is no such thing as failure. People settle for mediocrity for one reason. They're lazy. I've seen it so often. People go into something, they don't want to go that extra step. They know it's not going to be great. It might be good, it might be okay. It's not going to be great. They settle for mediocrity. They're lazy. Oftentimes, you know, life is in the details. Well, business also is in the details. You have to be very careful. You have to watch the dotted I's, because you can really lose tremendously if you don't watch those details. So that's the little finger, but it's all about the details. It's very important.
Right.
Sometimes in life, to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong, your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. So much of success is seeing yourself as victorious. You have to see yourself. You have to really believe in yourself. And sometimes it's hard. You know, you've had failures, you've had weaknesses, you've had other things. You have to see yourself as a one-man band. Don't rely too much on other people, because they'll let you down. You have to see yourself as victorious. And to be a winner, you have to think like a winner. If you don't think like a winner, it's just never going to happen. Totally focused. You can't take your eye off the ball. When I had troubles in the early 90s, a major article came out, and it said very strongly, everything he touches turns to gold. And I believed it. So I'd go out with models at night instead of working. But that wasn't good. And I remember I had a big lease coming up, and there was a big show, and I went to the show. I said, don't worry, fellas, you can handle the lease. You'll get it done. Well, I came back, they didn't get it done, and I would have had it done 100%. And then the market crashed in the 90s. So I had trouble.
But it was sort of an amazing, I wouldn't want to do it again. It was an amazing test of yourself.
It doesn't matter. God matters. Your family matters. It doesn't matter. And if you say it, I have some people, they say, I've got to be successful. I've got to be. They'll never be successful. It's too crazy. They can't think straight.
You know, life, you look and you turn on the newscasts every night and you see thousands of people killed in earthquakes and tsunamis and hurricanes and all of the problems and wars that we shouldn't even be in and lots of different things. And when you see all of the problems in the world, what is there to be afraid of? It doesn't matter. You know, to a certain extent, it all doesn't matter. And I tell people that because it takes pressure off. If it matters too much, they're going to be like basket cases. It really doesn't matter. You want to enjoy what you do. You want to do a great job for yourself and your family. But ultimately, in the scope of things, what really matters? And that does take a certain amount of pressure off. And I'm not sure that Robert agrees with my statement, but I see people, they're so intent on doing something, and it's so scary, and they can't even function properly because it's so important to them. And sometimes you say to yourself, it doesn't matter if it works, if it doesn't work. And that takes that real big, high level of pressure off, and you can perform better.